Okay, so yesterday we basically discussed about Windows operating systems. So there are basically two types of operating systems, and whenever it comes to Windows, so they are basically architecture and components, a number of architectures and components. Kernel, GUI, file system, PowerShell, command prompt, so user access control. So these are all nothing but architecture and components which support the Windows operating system. Now, whenever it comes to Linux operating system, you got different types of Linux operating systems, and these are basically divided into two types. One is going to be Linux operating system, and another category is customized Linux operating systems. So whenever I tell something about customized Linux operating systems, we have Kali Linux and Parrot, which are basically made up and which are basically launched to for the cybersecurity engineers. So we are going to, for the whole session, we are going to use Kali Linux itself. So whenever you go for Kali Linux is better or Parrot is better. So definitely whenever it comes to user interface, Parrot is going to be the better option. But whenever it comes to the powerful operating system between two, Kali Linux is basically going to be the most powerful operating system because it is completely follows all the tools and open source tools are there. So it basically have offensive security basically is a part which plays a crucial role whenever it comes to Kali Linux. So Kali Linux is a product made by offensive security, and we also have different tracks of certifications which are basically meant to be toughest certifications in security domain, which is offensive security certified professional, OSCP, OSWE, and there are more different advanced certifications. So Kali Linux is basically bought up by our offensive security. So that is why it is basically one of the most powerful operating system whenever compared in cyber security domain. So now let's go and discuss about the components and architecture of Linux. So here guys, whenever I tell something about architecture and components, first one here we got that is kernel. So guys, I need a quick confirmation. How many of you have received notes on the last session? That is the firewalls, whatever we discussed in the about the firewalls and intrusion detection systems. So I hope everyone got the received the notes. Can I get a quick confirmation? You guys got notes? Yes. Yes. Okay. So one thing I want to tell, whatever notes are being shared in the groups or on your applications, so please try to keep revising those topics, as whenever you go for the interviews and whenever you attend interviews, so those are basically going to be the core components that the interviewer will ask. So if you are not good at the basics, then it is no need to go further beyond deep in the domain. So whenever the first question, second question, third question of an interviewer will be completely into the basics and fundamentals of security. So whenever it comes to knowing about the cyber security, whenever it comes to knowing about the architectures of operating systems, these are all nothing but fundamentals. So you need to be strong, stone. You need to be rock solid knowledge. You should have rock solid knowledge whenever it comes to these topics. Either it is IP addressing, either it is subnetting, either it is difference between hub switch and router. So these are all the things which we discussed. So please try to keep revising regularly. So you should maintain your revision. So it will be better for you guys to explore the domain more and also land a job if you maintain that consistency and keep on learning. You basically keep on learning new things. Okay, let's continue with the session. So whenever you go for kernel, guys, as everyone know, basically kernel is a similar kernel basically plays a similar role. So it manages the core systems operations, and it is basically similar to Windows itself. There is no much difference whenever it comes to kernel. So here I can write manages core system and operations, core system operations. And it is basically similar to Windows. So whatever Windows kernel plays the role, the same thing this particular Linux kernel also plays the same role. Now, whenever I tell something about user interface, guys, user interface. So whenever it comes to user interface, so both whenever you go for a GUI, here we have both kind of user interfaces are there. One is basically command line interface, another one is basically graphical user interface. So whenever you go for graphical user interface, we have something called as genome and KDE. And whenever you go for command line, you got bash and shell. So shells like bash and powerful, which is basically one of the powerful command line interface. So CLI is going to be completely into bash. So whenever you go for Linux operating systems terminals, they are basically one of the strongest, and we can basically perform n number of tasks without even opening the applications on the command line itself. So it is important that you learn basics of Kali Linux commands, how to create a directory, how to delete a directory. So these are everything you need to learn. So whenever we move forward with the session, we'll basically discuss everything. So here, whenever you go for user interfaces, it offers both graphical user interface and command line interface. So whenever you go for command line interface, it is basically through shells. Like bash. Now, whenever you go for file system, the next one is going to be file system. So whenever you go for file system, we got something called as ext4. So commonly, whenever you go for Linux, it basically commonly uses ext4. Just try to remember this ext4. So ext4 basically is known for its efficiency and reliability. So whenever you go for the complete hierarchy of the directories. So here one more thing, guys. In Windows, we basically call folders, right? Those folders in Linux are basically considered as directories. So it is basically a directory structure which starts from the root and includes the standard directories. Standard directories are basically going to be the inbuilt directories like home, etc directory is there, /var directory is there. So these are basically a few directories which are going to be the common and inbuilt directories, you can tell. So technically telling, these basically are considered as standard directories. So home, etc, var, root, these all are basically going to be the standard directories. So ext4, known for its efficiency, and reliability. This is one point. And the hierarchical directories. So how many of you know what is root, guys? What is root? Can anyone tell me what is root? What does root stand for? Can anyone tell me what does root stand for? So basically in Windows, you call it admin. Here in Linux, you call root as a super user. That is sudo also you can tell. You can also tell super user. Super user is basically the person who has all access to the system, no matter what files, no limitations. Complete access you will have. That is basically the root. Starts from root. So whatever directories are there, they basically start from root and include standard directories, like /etc, comma, /home, comma, /var. So these are going to be the basic directories. So these are all directories which are standard. You cannot delete this directory. You cannot edit this directory. They have basically system configuration files, common features, whatever tools are there, everything, whatever related files are there. Those are basically stored in these particular directories. They are completely going to be, you can tell by default directories, and they contain by default either documents, either some kind of exe execution files, all those. Now, whenever you go for common features and tools, here we have common features and tools in Linux. Okay, common features and tools. Let's discuss what are the common features. So whenever you go for common features, guys, we got something called as package management. Package management is a thing, but whenever you go for package management, it basically uses the package managers. Like if you go for whenever you go for you want to install a software, you want to update a software, you want to manage a software. For all that things, it basically has a different package managers. So those package managers are going to be one is going to be APT for Debian or Ubuntu, YUM or DNF for Red Hat and Fedora, something like that. So they're basically different package managers. So this is not shells like, this is shell like. Yeah, shell like bash. Shell is nothing but scripting, shell scripting. So through shell like bash. Bash is going to be the you can tell compiler name kind of terminal name. The terminal is going to be the bash terminal. Like PowerShell you have for Windows, here you have bash. In Windows, PowerShell is going to be the strongest one, and here bash is going to be the strongest one. Common features and tools. So yeah, here you have package management. First one is package management. So here it basically uses different package managers, uses package managers like, so you have APT for Ubuntu or Debian. APT for Ubuntu or Debian, and again you have some another package that is YUM or DNF, YUM/DNF, which is going to be for Fedora and Red Hat. So Fedora, Red Hat, these are basically different Linux operating systems. For each and every different Linux operating systems, we have different package managers. So these are basically, you can tell, these basically are responsible to install, update, or whatever you want to change in a particular software, you need to basically access through these managers. So to install, update, and manage softwares. So this is the thing. Now, if you go for shell, shell is going to be the terminal is a powerful tool for performing wide range of activities, of tasks you can tell, using command line interface. So whenever you go for shell, guys, so in Windows, we got something called as PowerShell. Here we got something called as shell. So this terminal is going to be the terminal which is basically helping you to use command line interface, and you can either open a tool, either you can perform an attack, either you can perform a scan on one particular IP address. So everything you can do with the help of shell itself. Now, if you move forward, Here guys, we have something called as security features. Security features. So whenever it comes to security features, first thing is file permissions. So what are the file permissions? How are they basically given? So here, whenever you go for Linux, we got some kind of robust permission system for the file permissions. So it basically can control access to files and directories. Here you have two different users, root and normal user. So user one is basically normal user and root is basically going to be admin, something like admin. So root has the access to all the files, all in number of files he can execute, he can do whatever he want. But whenever it comes to normal user, there are basically few limitations. So for that, you need to basically be a root user to make number of changes, maximum number of changes. So file permission. So you can tell Linux users robust permission system to control access over files and directories. So this is basically how file systems work. Now, here we also have something called as firewalls in Linux. You got something called as firewalls. So I guess everyone know what is firewalls. Tools like IP tables and these are basically firewalls which help to manage network security. So they basically help to manage network security using rules and rules tables. That is how I guess firewalls work. Now, whenever you go for user experience, guys, whenever I tell something about experience, so we need to compare Windows versus Linux. So Windows is generally more user friendly for all the non-technical users. So either he is from IT background, either he is from non-IT background, Windows anyone can operate. But whenever you go for Linux, it basically offers uh, more customization and flexibility, and everyone need to learn to use Linux first. So whenever you're trying to learn or whenever you're trying to start from the Linux, you can start with CentOS. CentOS is basically one of the basic Linux operating system. From that, you can go for Fedora, Red Hat, and you can basically move to different upper level of Linux operating systems. Now, whenever I tell something about customizations, whenever you go for Linux, so here you have more extensive number of customization of operating system, and from your desktop environment you can to basically the kernel, while Windows is offering some kind of standardized experience as compared to Linux. So whenever you go for applications, Windows has very big library of commercial softwares like Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, so Visual Studio. These are all basically going to be the commercial softwares which you can buy, license them, you can basically use them. And whenever I tell something about gaming also, so gaming also you can basically install games. It is basically easy to use. But whenever you go for Linux, here you have all the open source softwares and you got a lot of development tools also. So Linux is also supporting many things, but whenever you go for user interface, Windows is much more easier to operate. So Linux is little bit of hustle for people who are trying to use it for daily life operations like playing games, downloading, editing, and all everything. So whenever you go for hardware support, guys, so Windows generally has a better out of hardware support, whereas Linux might require some kind of additional configuration for some devices. So whenever you go for few devices don't support Linux, few devices support Linux. So that is basically you need to check the dependencies whenever you're trying to install Linux and whenever you're trying to use Linux. Now, let's talk about security part. Let's talk something about security part. So security part, guys, whenever you go for vulnerabilities, under these vulnerabilities, I hope everyone know what is a vulnerability. Guys, what is vulnerability? Can anyone tell me the basic one line for vulnerability? It is some kind of bug or some kind of loophole, flaw, weakness, potential threat, anything you can tell. So this basically vulnerability is whenever you go for Windows, Windows is more common target for malware and cyber attacks due to its widespread of usage. So because Windows, whenever you go for the whole global IT people, so 70% of people are the 70% of consumption of Windows is basically coming from the normal people who are going to use it for the daily life purposes. Linux is basically used with only working professionals who are completely professional into either security part, either something they are looking for more customization, or either they are looking for some kind of more flexibility. So for that purpose, they are going to use Linux. So as Windows is consumpted more, it is more common kind of operating system used. So that is the bigger target for the malware and cyber attacks due to its widespread of usage. Now, whenever you go for Linux, it is basically less targeted. And whenever you go for the benefits from Unix-based architecture and permission system. So I told you yesterday, I mentioned something when whoever created Linux, so that particular person took inspiration from Unix. Whenever I tell took inspiration from Unix operating system is, he basically took the architecture, modified it, made it more better, and he tried to invent Linux operating system. He designed the Linux operating system. Same way, whenever you go for Unix based architecture, it is completely secured. Sorry, guys. So, and it is also having the good permission system. Now, if I tell something about patch management, So what is patch management, guys? So patch management, can anyone tell me what is patch management? Or you can tell what is patch. What is patch management, guys? So, okay, whenever you go for patch management, let's say I got some kind of vulnerability, okay, in Windows 11, sorry, in Windows 9, 10, any of the older version in Windows, you got one vulnerability. So what Microsoft will do is it will resolve that vulnerability and it will give a software update for your particular Windows operating system. So let's say iOS is there. iOS is the best example. In iOS, in past version, we got few kind of bugs. So the mobile phones were getting heated. The mobile phones were getting camera was not good. Something issues were there, minor issues. So to resolve that issue, what iOS will do, what Apple will do is it will basically release a better version. So once it is releasing a better version, so all the vulnerabilities or flaws, whatever were there, they will be resolved and then they will basically be released in the next new version. That is basically how patch management works. So vulnerability you can consider as patch. So vulnerability is one. To resolve that vulnerability, you are keeping basically a patch and you are basically redelivering it. Once you redeliver that particular operating system, once our operating system or mobile has been updated, then we will not see all those bugs, right? Because they are already resolved. For that, basically, you will use patch management. So whenever it comes to patch management or resolving bugs, yeah, like beta and stable updates, exactly. Now, whenever you go for patch management, guys, or you can also tell resolving the bugs, who is better, either Linux or Windows? So Windows updates are basically centralized through Windows Update itself. Linux updates are managed through package managers. As I mentioned here also, in the last slide, whenever you go for Linux here, we got something called as Linux managers. So these basically package managers are basically people who are going to be responsible. Just a moment, guys. Yeah, guys. So whenever you go for this particular patch management, that is how it is going to work. So whenever you go for Windows Update is there, and that is one option for the downloading or installing the updates. And in here, whenever you go for Linux, we got the agents. That is basically package managers. Now let's speak about performance and stability. So guys, one thing I want to mention, the reason why I'm not mentioning everything here on the screen, as I mentioned before, here you can see everything in detail I mentioned here. The reason is because by the end of the session, I'll make sure that you guys get notes by tonight itself. So that is why I am just giving side headings. Is it okay, guys, to write side headings and explain, or do you want me to mention the whole definition? You can give me like feedback. What should I do? So one option is basically going to be giving the side headings itself, and another option is going to be anything we can understand. Okay, however, you're going to get notes, so you can refer those notes. Yeah, good guys. So whenever I tell something about performance and stability, whenever I tell something about performance, so here resolving the vulnerabilities and giving a stable update to the operating system. So the vulnerabilities will be resolved and the security will be enhanced. Okay. Reply to this. Where was yesterday's session notes posted? Telegram. Yeah. So you got Telegram. If you don't have Telegram, you're not in Telegram group, then someone here in the chat can share the Telegram group link, guys. You can help Vishnu. Okay, guys. Whenever you go for patch management is done. So we got something called as performance. Something called as performance and stability. So whenever you go for you got resources, you got resource usage. Resource usage is nothing but Linux can be more efficient with the system resources. So making it suitable for older hardware or systems with limited resources. So it doesn't matter whatever hardware you have, you can basically use Linux. It is not a kind of big task. So whenever you go for stability, Linux is basically preferred for servers due to its stability and robustness. So yesterday someone asked me why Linux is only preferred for the servers. So the reason why Linux is preferred for the servers is because due to the stability and robustness. Whenever I tell stability and robustness is, while you go for the performance part, Linux is much more better as compared to Windows. While Windows is commonly used on desktops and enterprise environments, Linux is basically used for servers. So here, let me just mention a few points. So whenever you go for stability, this is important. Linux is used for servers for its stability and robustness, and Windows is used for desktops and enterprises. Yeah, guys. So that is about stability part. Now, whenever you go for users, guys, whenever you go for Linux types of accounts. In types of accounts, you got root and you got command line. So whenever you go for a root, he is basically going to be the super user with definitely full access and control over the system. And whenever you go for command line, uses common commands like chmod, sorry, not chmod, guys, user mod, usrmod, user mod. You got add user. Add user, you can also delete user. To manage the user accounts. Now, these are basically two types. And whenever you go for Windows, guys, I hope you remember we got only three type of users. One is control panel, one is going to be admin, and another one is going to be the normal user. So this is it, guys. Now let's speak about the common vulnerabilities in this particular operating systems. Sir, I didn't find any notes in the group. See, Gurajala. So basically, there are people who found notes. So notes was definitely delivered in the Telegram group. I guess you are not aware. Please try to check each and every chat or try to search for a little bit. Sir, sudo su is enter into root. The sudo space su. Sudo space su is basically going to be used to enter into the root. So I'll just demonstrate all the commands. Once we complete this, we have something about vulnerabilities. Once we complete the vulnerabilities part, then we will directly jump into the practical part. So in that, I'll show you how you can enter into root, how you can basically use commands. So here, guys, whenever you go for vulnerabilities, let me just mention the vulnerabilities. So first we'll go with, I guess, Windows vulnerabilities will go first. We'll go with Windows vulnerabilities. So here we got something called as privilege escalation, guys. Privilege escalation. So privilege escalation is nothing but whenever you go for system flaws and whenever you go for unpatched vulnerabilities. So whatever vulnerabilities are there, so those vulnerabilities will allow the users to gain higher privileges. So let's say there is a normal user and that particular normal user wants to get an admin access. He will find one vulnerability. He will he will basically take advantage of that vulnerability. And once he takes the advantage and he is basically successfully tries to exploit that vulnerability, then definitely he is going to do the privilege escalation. Privilege escalation is nothing but he will jump from normal user to admin user. So he is basically increasing the privilege of that particular user. That is privilege escalation. Now, whenever you go for second vulnerability, we got something called as ACLs, guys. Please try to remember what is ACL. Weak ACLs. So ACL is nothing but access control list. Access control list. So whenever you go for access control list, it can basically expose the sensitive data to unauthorized users. How it is going to reveal the sensitive data is in this access control. In this access control list, you basically got some kind of usernames, passwords, and everything. Who should have which access, which user will be able to use which application. Everything is basically mentioned in the access control list. So if you basically have weak access control lists, then you basically normal unauthorized users can also basically be can basically use few kind of private files or whatever higher confidential files are there, they can basically use them. Next, you have something called as SMB protocol, server message block, SMB protocol, which stands for server message protocol. So SMB vulnerability, it can be used for remote code execution attacks. So whenever you go for remote access, guys, for servers, you got server message protocol. Whenever you go for normal web applications or any kind of computers, you got something called as remote desktop protocol, RDP. So RDP is one, server message protocol is one. Server message protocol is used for remote code execution attacks. Remote code execution attacks. Now next we got something called as a delayed updates. So delayed update is nothing but, guys, I hope everyone know, whenever you find a vulnerability, you need to basically resolve that vulnerability and you need to give an update as soon as possible. Because if the operating system is not updated when the bug is found, then definitely people will try to take the advantage of that. So delayed update is going to be one vulnerability. And again, you got malware. Again, you got malware. So malware is nothing but, guys, it is basically a part of it is like whenever you're using malware, it is a piece of code which is completely automated, and whenever someone tries to install that particular malicious file or malicious piece of code, so it is basically, it will be executed on its own and it will try to access the whole system. It will try to infect all the applications and it will try to grab the information, as much information as possible. You can basically call it as um, so you can basically mention it as a malicious code, which will try to harm your, which is basically a harmful program. So whenever I tell malicious code, this malicious code is written. The reason or behind writing this malicious code is to basically harm your particular computer. So that is how malicious code works. And whenever this code is executed, guys, so this code will allow the user to create a remote access to your computer, and he will be basically able to use all the applications, whatever are there in your computer, and he will try to grab as much information as possible. That is how malicious code work. Next, we got something called as phishing. How many of you know what is phishing, guys? What is phishing? Guys, what is phishing attack? So users are often targeted by phishing attacks, which are basically going to be some kind of links. So once you basically click on that link, it will lead to credential theft or malware installation. So these are basically users are targeted with phishing links, which help hackers to steal credentials and install malwares. So it is like whenever you click on this particular link, so either one file will be downloaded, either you will redirect it to some another website. So commonly we have like whenever you go for Amazon, so www.amazon.com is going to be the original domain name. But if I basically have www.amazon.com, then it is basically going to be a fake website. Like that, number of fake domain names will be uh, purchased by this particular team of hackers. So what they exactly do is they try to take these credentials and they try to send links to each and every person. Once you try to buy a product on that fake website, then automatically your money will get paid, but you will not get the product. So that is how phishing attack works. So one more thing is weak passwords. I hope everyone know what is weak passwords. Weak passwords lead to easy password cracking and everyone can guess your passwords. That is one. One more one is important one is RDP vulnerability. So RDP is nothing but guys remote desktop protocol. RDP is remote desktop protocol. Vulnerability stands for remote desktop protocol. Remote desktop protocol. So whenever you go for this remote desktop protocol vulnerability, it is basically going to allow the hacker to access your computer remotely. Allows hackers to access your computer remotely with unauthorized access. That is what RDP means. Now, this is basically Windows vulnerabilities, guys. These are all Windows vulnerabilities. Now, whenever you go for Linux vulnerabilities, so in Linux vulnerabilities, guys, same privilege escalation is there. Privilege escalation is a common one. Second one is going to be open ports. So whenever I tell something about open ports, guys, so we got some 65,000 something open ports. So whenever you go for this particular open ports, it is your responsibility that whatever ports you are using, you need to keep them open and the remaining ports should be closed. If they are open, then they will basically allow the hackers or someone else to unauthorized to basically access and build a connection to your particular computer with that open port in an unauthorized way. So that is why we need to maintain the closed ports. So open ports is one vulnerability. Next one is unpatched software. So unpatched software in the sense, guys, unpatched software is nothing but if you have a vulnerability in one particular software, it is important that you give update at the same time. If you don't give update on the same time, then it will basically cause to some kind of data loss or data breach from your computer. You got kernel updates. So whenever I tell something about kernel updates, same thing, guys. Whenever you got kernel vulnerabilities, this particular vulnerabilities delay in applying kernel updates and can basically expose the system's root level access. So whenever kernel has basically vulnerabilities, it is important that kernel should be updated at the same time. So once you basically delay the update, so whenever you go for root access, whatever root has the access to all the files, that particular files will be exposed. So that is kernel update. Now, if you move forward, we got weak passwords again. One more thing is weak passwords. Same thing again, weak passwords. Weak passwords. And again, we got SSH vulnerabilities. Can anyone tell me, guys, what is SSH vulnerability? What is SSH vulnerability? Guys, what is SSH vulnerability? Can anyone tell me? Secure shell. So what is the secure shell responsible for, guys? This secure shell vulnerability is responsible for complete encryption of your data if you basically cannot configure these SSH settings. So if you cannot configure SSH settings and they are misconfigured, so it can lead to unauthorized access. So that is SSH vulnerability. So these are all the different vulnerabilities, guys. These are all in number of vulnerabilities. So now remote attackers, but to bypass integrity checks such that some packets are omitted from the extension of negotiation message, and a client and a server may consequently end up with a connection for which some. Okay, guys, these are all the vulnerabilities, and you will get the detailed notes by the end of the session. In half an hour or 1 hour, I'll basically make the notes and I'll basically send it to all the users. Okay, let's move forward. Now we have another topic, that is the next topic. Just a moment. So guys, we got next topic, that is footprinting and reconnaissance. Footprinting and reconnaissance. So whenever you go for footprinting, so whenever you go for different, so guys, whenever you go for different phases of hacking, first one is information gathering, second one is footprinting and reconnaissance. This particular footprinting and reconnaissance, in this what we are going to do is, so whenever you're trying to do footprinting, guys, we basically got two types of footprinting. So whenever you're trying to gather a particular information, there are basically two ways to gather the information. So one is active way. So here, let me just write. This is information gathering. Information gathering. So whenever I tell something about information gathering, guys, so here, so how are you going to gather the information? Under this information gathering, we basically got two different categories in information gathering. One is going to be the organization and another one is going to be the normal user. So here, I got organization, information gathering of an organization, and here I got information gathering of a person. That is a single person, which is not an organization. So these two types of information gathering are there. Now, whenever you go for this information gathering, so these are basically two different targets. Let me just mention here for your understanding. Information gathering targets. You can gather information about these two people. Now, whenever you go for ways of information gathering, ways of info gathering, there are basically going to be two ways of information gathering, guys. First one is active way. Second one is going to be passive way. This is active way. Another one is going to be passive way. So whenever I tell something about active and passive way, so in this one is basically, so whenever you go for active way here, you will basically interact with that particular person who is the target. You will interact with that particular person. So by that interaction, you will try to gather the information. But whenever you follow passive way, without any interaction by some third party means, you will basically target the particular information gathering without any interaction. Either you can go for online mode, either you can go for asking for some people who are already working in that particular organization, something like that. So this is basically active and passive way. Now, whenever you consider an organization, whenever you consider a person, this particular person information gathering, you have different methods. For organization, you have different methods. First, we'll just note this down. Active way is involves interaction with the target. Interaction with the target. And whenever you go for passive way, without interacting the target and using online resources to gather info. This is basically active and passive way. Now, whenever you go for either active way or passive way, we got two different targets, guys. One is organization, one is person. First, we will try to see how we can gather information about an organization. So here, I'll just write it down. Target is organization. Target organization. Here our target is going to be organization. Whenever you go for target organization, guys, what are basically, let's say we are going to follow passive way. Okay. Active way is basically directing, interacting with that particular user. We are not going to interact with the organization, right? So we are going to use the online methods. So whenever you go for online methods, guys, how can you find information about the organization online? Can anyone tell me? Where are you going to gather information? Where are you going to search about the organization? Let's say we have target Amazon.com. If you want to know something about Amazon, where will you go and where will you search for that particular organization? Where will you gather information? Official website, okay. So official website basically has only little information. So what Amazon want to show, he will basically show. Or else that information is not present on the website. Search engines, exactly. So whenever you go for search engines, guys, I'll give you a list of search engines. Okay, try to, I'll just ask you one question. Let me just mention search engines. Can you tell me, guys, what are the search engines? What are the search engines? Can you list the search engines? Okay, one is definitely going to be Google. Next, after Google, You got list of search engines. Google, Bing, Yahoo. Okay. So, guys, for the clarification, Shodan is basically not an exact search engine. Shodan is basically going to show you only IoT devices. That is some kind of categorized search engine. It is not for everything. So, Yahoo, you got DuckDuckGo. Next, guys, Mozilla. Okay, Mozilla, Firefox, AOL. Whoever mentioned ChatGPT as a search engine in the chat box, Gopi Kiran. Gopi Kiran, ChatGPT is not a search engine. It is basically an AI product which will give you notes. So please don't think that it is a. Okay, Firefox, AOL is present. AOL. Okay, this is enough, I guess, guys. So whenever you go for this particular search engine. So I gave you a list, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So okay, one more search engine is missing. Baidu. Baidu. So in this particular list, guys, please try to listen carefully in this particular list. So which one do you think is the safest search engine? Safest search engine, and which is basically going to be the, you can tell, powerful search engine. So which is a, okay. See, guys, I am telling here you have the list. Don't act smart and give hidden wiki, something, some kind of childish answers. So I told you, right? Here you have list. What is hidden wiki and all everything? So how many of you think that DuckDuckGo is the safest search engine, guys? How many of you think DuckDuckGo is the safest search engine? So basically, guys, DuckDuckGo is going to be the safest search engine, definitely. So here we got answer one. Safest search engine is definitely going to be DuckDuckGo. Now, who thinks which is the powerful search engine? Definitely, Google is not the powerful search engine, guys. Google has never been a powerful search engine. See, guys, let me tell you one thing. Whenever you go for a search engine, whatever you type on a search engine, you should get the exact information. Google never gave the exact information. It will give all the rubbish information. It will give all the different kind of links and all everything which lead to you somewhere else. It doesn't give the exact information. Yahoo is not, definitely not the powerful search engine. Mozilla is also not the powerful search engine. Brave is also not a, see, Brave is not on the list. Firefox is also not, Tor is not on the list. Bing is also not the powerful search engine. Baidu is going to be the powerful search engine. Mohan and Sai Sidhu gave the answer, Baidu. So Baidu is basically a Chinese search engine, guys, which has lot of information. It is basically taking the information from n number of sources, and it is basically trying to give you project it on the search engine. So Baidu is one. Here we have Baidu. Let's see how does it look like. So this is basically going to the Baidu search engine, Chinese search engine. And to translate this, Central Commission Police, something it is giving. Let's search for uh, images of Tesla. Let's see what he will do. See Tesla gallery, Tesla, Tesla Cybertruck, Tesla model. So see guys, whatever information you want to search, you can basically you need to basically give the right input. So for that also we got something called as operators. So okay, let me just see. We got Tesla, all the cars. Now let's try Google. Let's see what he will give. Here I will type the same thing. Images of Tesla. Tesla gallery 500 plus Tesla, stock Tesla Nikola test images. So guys, whenever you go for Baidu, the reason why Baidu is considered as a powerful search engine is because it can basically, sir, what about Safari? No, this except DuckDuckGo and except Baidu, remaining all particular whatever search engines are there, they are completely neutral. They neither come into safe, they neither go into powerful search engines. They are going to be the neutral search engines. So whenever you go for Baidu, guys, it is good in digging the information deeply. So that is why Baidu is a powerful search engine. It has a lot of information. And whenever you go for DuckDuckGo, DuckDuckGo is going to be the safest search engine. Okay. So what we are discussing, our target is organization. So whenever you go and find information about the organization, so safest search engine is DuckDuckGo, and another search engine is going to be Baidu. Okay, let's move forward. And now, whenever you go for this particular, what is the vision of Baidu, sir? Vision, what vision? There is nothing like vision of Baidu. So because whenever you go for, because it is a Chinese kind of search engine, they basically have lot of information. So they try to dig deep. And whenever you go for the algorithms, searching algorithms, so they are basically differently defined for Google, differently defined for Baidu. It is basically the type of development they did and the type of information they hold, China holds on all over the world. Sir, what's the difference between the search engine and a web browser? It is the same. See, web browser is basically an application. Search engine is going to be kind of same thing, guys. There is nothing, no difference for web browser or search engine. It is the same thing. Which search engine gives both security and best information? DuckDuckGo can do both. Why DuckDuckGo is safest? Guys, DuckDuckGo is going to be the safest search engine because it doesn't lead any kind of spam links. It doesn't appreciate any kind of spam links or anything. So whenever you go for DuckDuckGo, the main reason is it doesn't track your location. So many of the websites, it doesn't allow the websites to track the location of the browser. It will not give the privileges to the browser or any of the website. It will not give privilege to any of the website to access your private information. Whenever you go for Google, many of you have observed that if you type, let's say Adidas shoes in Google, and you go to Instagram and scroll, you will get all the ads of Myntra, Nike showing your Adidas shoes. So that is not how you maintain privacy, right? DuckDuckGo maintains that privacy. That is why it is the safest one. What about Firefox? I told you just now, guys, except DuckDuckGo and Baidu, all the particular search engines are going to be on completely neutral phase. They are neither safe, they are neither powerful. Why they are not safe is because they track our locations, they track whatever we are searching. If I search Adidas shoes, Nike shoes, and I go to Instagram, I go to Facebook, I will get all the ads on Adidas shoes and Nike shoes itself. Why my information is getting leaked? That is why the reason is all the search engines are completely going to be neutral because they share the information with few of the social media platforms, which is definitely not appreciated. That is the main reason. I hope now everyone understood. Now let's get back to the class, guys. So whenever you go for organization, so if you want to gather information about any organization, let's say here, see, if you give permission, definitely it is going to store the passwords. If you don't give the permission, Google will also not store the passwords. That is nothing about. The only reason is whenever you are searching something on internet, it should be up to you. The information should not be shared with other social media or platforms, other marketing platforms. That is the main reason I'm talking about. Whenever you go for ads on Facebook and ads on Google, ads on Instagram are suggested to you based on the search history on Google, what you last searched. That is how it is working nowadays. So guys, what was I telling? Yeah. Whenever you go for this particular organization, what do you guys think is going to be the most important thing whenever I am searching something about Amazon? See guys, whenever I'm searching something, I'm gathering information about Amazon guys, what is the main thing that I need to concentrate on? Amazon is basically an e-commerce website which is working online. It basically sells different types of products. It has some kind of registered sellers. Few all over the India, all over the globe, there are people who buy products from this website. Now, if I want to gather information about this website, Amazon, so what is the first thing I need to know? What is going to be my target to grab the information? What should I target? Can you guys tell me how can I gather information? What is the first step I should do whenever I want to get information from Amazon? What should I target exactly? Subdomains, domains. So where are these domains registered? From where this particular domains are? IP address. So guys, whenever you go for this particular domains, so here Amazon has basically each and every website has basically two types of domains. Whenever you go for a domains, one is going to be the main domain. The second one, guys, whenever you go for this information gathering, I am explaining this about this passive way. Whenever I go about passive way, everything is related to information. And in passive way, whenever you're trying to search something about information, first thing is you need to know about the website. Website is going to be our primary target because Amazon's face on internet is nothing but its own website, right? So what is the relation between the website and internet? That is domains. So one is domain. So one is going to be the main domain. This particular domain, just a second. Yeah. So here we have target is going to be domains. And these domains are basically divided into two parts. One is going to be main domain, another one is going to be subdomain. So this is going to be major domain. So what is a major domain for Amazon, guys? What is a major domain for Amazon? Major domain of Amazon. That is amazon.com. Exactly. This is going to be. Can anyone give me example of subdomain, guys? Can anyone give me example of subdomain? What is the example for subdomain? Amazon subdomain? No. Dot in is not the one. Dot .sa is also not the one. Subdomain basically deal with either you can tell amazon.blog.com, blog.com. Again, if you basically go for amazon.delivery.com or delivery.in also you can tell, or you can also tell .com, or you can go for amazon.sellers.com. So these are basically, whenever I tell about subdomains, guys, please try to understand carefully. Major domain is going to be the domain where each and every user is going to go and he is going to search for a number of things. But whenever you go for subdomains, these are basically all back-end operations of that particular company. Amazon.com is going to be the major domain which operates, which is basically operate on the front end. That is, Amazon.com is operated on the front end because Amazon.com, the customers come and they browse only Amazon.com. No one is going to browse Amazon.delivery.com. These are all nothing but they contain back-end information of deliveries. They contain back-end information of queries. They contain back-end information of seller accounts, payments, and all everything. Whenever you go for subdomains, Amazon basically divided the complete interaction. That is, main domain deals with only customers, and subdomains deal with all the people who work in the backend. So here, what is the target is, sir, so subdomain contain many. What is RIGJT? Balaji. So see guys, major domain is basically going to be one single domain, and subdomains are basically the backend operations. All the backend operations will have all the subdomains. So here, major domain has more strong kind of security, you can tell, because in the major domain, you have lot of people, lot of customers interact only on the major domain. No one interacts on the subdomain. Subdomain is basically interacted with only the internal team. Am I right, guys? So whenever you go for blog.com, delivery.com or sellers.com, who are the people who are going to have access to these subdomains? Who are going to have access to the subdomains, guys? Let's say delivery.com or sellers.com. Who is going to have access to delivery and sellers.com? Your domains contain many subdomains. Yes. Employees. Employees are nothing but internal people, internal, you can tell workers, internal staff. No, customer has access to only Amazon.com. Customer doesn't see if Sampath, I'll give you a good example. If you want to buy a mobile phone, will you go to Amazon.delivery.com or Amazon.com? You will definitely go to Amazon.com, right? So Amazon.com is going to be for customer interaction, and a major domain is for customer interaction. Subdomain is going to be for internal staff or internal services or internal operations. Operations people will have the interaction with subdomains. So this is how the domains have been completely divided. Now let me just show you something. So if I want to basically gather information, sir, will a subdomain help or hurt your SEO, sir? No. See, no one is going to perform SEO on these subdomains. They will perform only on major domain. So subdomains are completely differentiated for SEO part. So SEO is basically where you spend money, right? For to be on the top. So no one is going to use. Okay. Now guys, I'll show you the practical part, how you can basically gather the information about Amazon.com. So here you got two different tools, guys. Let me just write tools here. Tools. So whenever I tell something about tools, here we have Kali Linux. Here we have Kali Linux. So subdomains also accessed by the customers. No, sir, not only internal services. See, customers are going to access, but what are the customers going to do on that particular website? If you go for delivery.com, what are you going to do on delivery.com? You can't do anything, right? You can't basically check who Amazon is delivering and all. You will not get all the information. You will not get all the information. The user has whenever you go for Amazon, Amazon will give you the whole 100% transparent information only on major domain. That's it. The major domain deals with the products sales and products marketing itself. But whenever you go for subdomains, it is the internal services. That is deliveries, that is sellers accounts and all everything. So that is basically how it is going to work. Subdomains to find vulnerability to maintain access in site using SQL. Subdomain to find vulnerability to maintain access in site. So SQL injection and everything we'll discuss in our further class. So guys, whenever I tell something about major domain and subdomain, here our target is going to be the same, that is Amazon.com. If you want to gather information about Amazon its domains, subdomains, and everything. In Kali Linux, we got something called as who is. You can basically type who is, and then you can type here website. Yeah, website, not website, target. You can basically type the target. So here our target is going to be who is. Just a moment, guys. Who is Amazon.com. So this tool is basically called as who is lookup. So whenever I tell something about who is lookup, it will help you to gather the information about the domain names. So domains, when it was registered and all everything. And another strongest tool is going to be sublister. Sublister. So sublister is also going to be one of the tool. Now what exactly sublister will do is sublister gathers information. Sorry, sublister uses, not uses, takes help of different search engines, not different, multiple search engines, at single time to gather more information. So sublister is one. Now here guys, whenever you go for this part, here I got something important to tell. There is one kind of command in Kali Linux, which is going to be -v. -v. Can anyone tell me why do we use -v? Why do we use -v, guys? What does it stand for? Not version, definitely not version. So it basically stands for verbose. Verbose. Verbose is nothing but we basically use verbose. To see the backend information. What is the process going on? How is it trying to? Whenever I use sublister, guys, I will just type there -v and I will also not type -v. We will see for the difference how it is exactly going to show the information. Let me just open my Kali Linux. Remind me later. I hope everyone installed Kali Linux. No, verbose is not version, Sampath. Verbose is used to see the whole process. See, I'll show you practically where you will understand. So guys, just Control Shift. Yeah, just try to look at the screen. Now, if this Kali is basically going to be the normal user. If I want to be the super user and I want to get the admin access, I'm going to type sudo space su. And if I go for enter, it is again going to ask the password. It is the same password I used to log in into Kali Linux. I will type the same password. Then I'm getting the access as root. Now I told you that there are basically a few kind of essential directories, standardized directories, which are by default present. So home is by default, Kali is by default directory. So here, first thing is, I'm going to type who is Amazon.com and enter. Let's see what it will show. See what is the information it is showing. Who is Amazon.com? Domain name Amazon.com. Registry domain ID. It is giving the domain ID. Register who is server. Who is. So this particular, whenever you go for markmonitor.com, this particular markmonitor.com is basically someone like GoDaddy. Whenever you go for GoDaddy, you go to GoDaddy and you basically search for domain names, right? So Amazon is basically using a third-party vendor, that is MarkMonitor, to purchase its particular, you can tell, domain name. So register URL, markmonitor.com, updated date 2023, created version 1994, registered expiry date, it is giving the expiry date, and here abuse contact. So it is basically some mail ID, and again it is giving some kind of mobile number information, few websites, client delete prohibited. So this is all the information. Name server. See, Amazon basically has 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 servers. So one is in UK, so .co.uk, one is .com, what is .net, .org. Again, .co.uk is going to be the second name server. So name server is nothing but, guys, name server is basically used to maintain your domain name. DNS server also you can take, domain name server. So to maintain the domain name available in each and every particular region, you need to make sure that you have the servers who will help you to search. So here you got URL, who is inaccuracy complaint form. Guys, feedback. So attendance is not going to be taken on 8:30. It is going to be taken on 8:55. I am unable to install Kindness. I am getting fatal error while installing. How to resolve that? See, if you're getting fatal error, please try to uninstall your VirtualBox and try to install your VirtualBox again. Or you can directly go in the VirtualBox. On the left side here, you will have something called as, you can tell, whenever you select the virtual machine, try to delete that virtual machine and again try to import Kali Linux ISO or Kali Linux OVA file, then definitely it will work. So this is all the information about this, guys. You got one phone number, you got admin country, you got 89507, that is a postal code. You got again one more postal code, again one phone number. So this basically is all the information, guys. Now, let me just tell you how exactly Sublister works and how it is going to take the information. So first thing is, if you want to install Sublister, just try to open Mozilla. Just open Mozilla, go to new tab. Attendance link will be shared on 8:55, not on 8:30. The session will be continued till 9 o'clock. So please don't try to give message or don't try to remind me of attendance. If you want to leave the session, you can definitely leave the session. I don't mind if you leave the session. Don't please try to escalate it. So here, guys, you have something like, you can just type Sublister and you can go for GitHub. Now, once you basically type Sublister GitHub, here you will have one repository naming ABOUL3LA Sublister. So this is basically the repository which you can try and you can basically download Sublister from. So once you see here, once you basically go here and if you basically look at the whole repository, here you will have code, right? Try to copy this https github.com, the exact repository URL. Try to copy this. And if you go for your this particular terminal, here you can just type git space clone and you can just right click and paste clipboard. You will have the exact URL here. Just try to remember this command, guys. Git space clone space the whole URL and then go for enter. So it will start cloning. So it is completely cloned. Now you can type ls to see whether it is installed or not. Type ls. See, here I have Sublister. Here I have Sublister. Now, if I basically want to use this Sublister, I want to get into this particular directory. For that, what I will do is I'll go for change directory to capital S, U, B, sublister, and then go for enter. See, here home Kali is there. Here you have something called as sublister. Now again I go for list the files which are present in this directory. You have license, manifest.in, requirements.txt, setup.py, sublister.py, subroot. Now here, what you can basically do is, can you send the Git link in Telegram? Guys, you can just type GitHub and sublister, you will automatically get the information. Only there is one repository, so I guess it is not required, but still I will make sure that it is shared. So once it is installed, guys, go for Python 3. Python 3, there is no st.py. Sublister space hyphen help. Enter. Can't open. Okay. Go for Python 3. Python 3 space setup dot py. Enter. Or else you can go for pip3 install requirements.txt. So here guys, whenever you use pip3 install -r requirements, so whatever requirements are there, they are basically present in this particular file. Just go and try to install all the requirements, and then you can go for Python 3 space setup.py is not working. Sublister.py space enter. See, sublister has been opened. Now here the following arguments are required. Now here I can basically give Python 3 sublister.py, and then I can basically give a domain name, which basically is -d amazon.com. Now guys, I told you, right, we have something called as verbose. If I give -v, let's see what will. See guys, here, whenever you go for search engines, what is the search engines it is going to use? It is using Baidu, it is using Yahoo, it is using Google, Bing, Ask, Netcraft, DNS Dumpster, Virus Total, Threat Crowd, SSL certificates also it is searching, and it is also looking for the passive domain name services. Now just try to see here, Netcraft, Amazon.com, US East Console, AWS, Amazon.com. This is related to something Amazon AWS Cloud. Amazon AWS Cloud. And again, you have another domain, aws.amazon.com. Smile.amazon.com is also one domain. See guys, whenever I tell something about subdomains, from here it will start. Smile.amazon.com, console AWS Amazon.com, documents, sign in AWS Amazon.com, seller central Amazon.com. This is definitely a subdomain. What is a DNS? That is basically domain name service. DNS is domain name service. So passive DNS. So whatever the passive domain names are there on the internet, it is going to search for those domain names. So here you got gaming.amazon.com, S3 console. S3 is basically one of the AWS, you can tell, service, S3 bucket. So for that, it is basically having a separate subdomain. And again, advertising has a separate subdomain. See guys, I told you, whenever you go for customer interaction, Amazon.com is only the way where 100% customers try to interact. Remaining all backend operations are run by the subdomains. So advertising is basically run by the subdomain. Midway authorization is basically run by the subdomain. Phone tool again is a subdomain. So Paragon-NA, w.amazon.com, US West is one location for AWS. AP South 1 is another location for AWS. Again, Europe West is one location. Issues is subdomain. mytimelight.aka corp, this is another subdomain. So these all are nothing but n number of subdomains which are generated, guys. See, again, you got sellamazon.com, meetingsamazon.com, hireamazon.com, permissionsamazon.com. So these are all nothing but, see, pharmacy also is there. Pharmacy.amazon.com, Sage Amazon. These are all nothing but, guys, all approvals. All are completely going to be the subdomain. These are all nothing but operations. They deal with operations. Okay, let's scroll down. Now, I got this information, right? So now here, what is the command I gave? I gave the command for Python 3 sublister.py -d amazon.com -v I mentioned here. Now let's see what is the output we will get if I don't mention -v. I'll just try to remove this -v, and I'll give some another one, that is flipkart.com. Flipkart.com and remove -v. Let's see what is the information we will get. See, virus total probably is blocking our requests. Whenever you have firewall on, it will basically try to block our requests, but few of the requests will be acceptable. See, guys, try to observe one thing. Whenever I typed my command here, exactly this part, whenever I typed and I clicked enter, I got netcraft, complete backend information, how my information is getting gathered. And this is exactly the information. Subdomains found, 200 subdomains have been found. So this is the exact information which should be projected. And above this particular total unique subdomains, below this is the result, and above this is the whole process. Now here I will show you whether it will show the process or not. See, guys, here can you see any information about netcraft? There is no process, right? Directly it is showing me the result itself, 337 subdomains. So exactly, whenever you type verbose command, not only in this, if you also type, whenever we are using nmap and whenever we are trying to scan something, in that module also, in future module, I'll just show you how -v will basically affect our search. So if you basically type -v and enter, so here you will have the whole process, and here you will have the result. And here, if you don't give verbose, if you give the command, directly it will show the result. Here you have 337 subdomains. Say advertising, ads, ITP, ADP, ADFS, a number of subdomains. The reason, guys, why we basically are looking for this subdomains is because whenever you go for main domain here, whenever you go for this particular main domain part, this particular major domain, this has more security, because each and every customer who is a responsible customer, he'll basically come here and he is going to search for amazon.com. But whenever you go for subdomains, this is basically a part which will have less security. So I'm not telling about it is less security because they don't follow any kind of security protocols. They definitely follow for security protocols. But whenever you compare with major domain, subdomains are basically going to have the less security. So whenever you're trying to hack into Amazon, or whenever you're going to attack the target, something like amazon.com or flipkart.com, what people will do is the hackers will basically not directly go and target the major domain. They are basically going to target the subdomain. Once they target the subdomain, from subdomain, they are going to get access to the backend servers of the main domain, and then they will take over the website. Because see, amazon.blog.com, amazon.delivery.com is also owned by the Amazon itself. See, from here it is coming to the domains, and again it is going to Amazon only. Major domain is directly going to Amazon only. So both owners are basically, there is only one single target, that is Amazon, but it is splitted. If you either come from here, you are definitely going to reach the same place. Exactly. This is much more easier. To crack the subdomain is much more easier than going for the main domain part. So that is why we basically consider that going through the subdomain which is having less security and which is having the less interaction human interaction. That is the reason why they don't exactly maintain the same security as the major domain. See, on Amazon.com, you will have 1 lakh to 2 lakh customers who visit daily the website. And if you go for the another subdomains, which are basically, just a moment. Okay, what happened? Just a moment, guys. Yeah. So whenever I go for Amazon here, say hire Amazon.com, or let's go for a simple one. Say drive.corp Amazon.com. We'll just take this. drive.corp.amazon.com. See guys, just answer one question. Whenever I go for www.amazon.com, www.amazon.com, and if I go for drive.crop.amazon.com, which website looks more secured in both of them? Can anyone tell me which is more secured? Either drive.corp.amazon.com or amazon.com. Which is more secured and which basically has the more interaction? So whenever you go for Amazon.com, it will have 1 lakh to 2 lakh to 3 lakhs of customers each and every day, right? So basically human interaction is more. So firewalls and everything, whatever the architecture is there, the whole architecture should definitely be enhanced. And whenever you go for drive.corp.com, so drive.corp.com doesn't have any kind of interaction with 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakhs customers. It is only the internal team of Amazon, that is 30 to 40 employees, 50 employees, or mostly 100 to 200 employees who will interact with the subdomain. Who are only in that particular team, they will only interact. But in Amazon.com, there are external people all over the globe whose information is being shared on this major domain, either credit card details, either any kind of email IDs, phone numbers, date of birth. So this should be more secured as compared to this. That is the reason why people target subdomains and they try to take over the major domain. That is how you plan. So every cyber attack is completely dependent on how you're planning and which route you're trying to instigate, which route you're trying to go through. That is the main important part. Till here, I guess everything is clear, guys. You have any doubts? First, tell me whether the topic is clear, everyone. Is the topic clear? Clear, right? Okay. Now, this is about organizations, guys. We completed the organization part. Now, the second part is remaining. That is going to be person part. How you are going to gather the information from that particular person. So how you are going to gather information from that particular person? So to gather the information from the person here, oh, these slides are over. Just a moment. I guess we need part 3. Just a moment, guys. New Jamboard. Name. Part 3. Okay, guys. Now we have something. Target is going to be. Target is going to be person or an individual. A person or an individual. So whenever I tell something about person and individual, can anyone tell me if I want to get the information about some person? Let's say I want to get information about Jagdish, or I want to get information about Rishi, or I want to get information about Nilima, Sweta, Harshita, or any one of the student I want to get information about. So where can I find the most information? So if I want to, if I have only a name and I know I saw that person, I need to check whether if it is the same person on the internet, what is the best source I can gather information of that particular individual from the internet. What social media, exactly. So whenever you go for social media, guys, in that particular social media, you can get information, you can get pictures, you can get photos, you can get lot of information about date of birth, what are the likes, dislikes, where that particular person goes frequently. Either he's going to some restaurant, either he's going to gym, either he's basically a fitness freak or some kind of sports person, some kind of dancer or whatever he is. So we basically can get all the information about that particular person. Now, whenever I want to get the information, here first source is going to be, let me just write individual. So under this individual, we got two ways, guys, active and passive. Again, yeah, that is what I'm telling. I know someone will ask this question. If a person doesn't have social media, then how will get information? That is why I'm drawing two lines here. See, second line is coming. Okay, so here we have two ways, right? I told you we have two ways, active and passive. So if the person doesn't, we don't get information of that person on social media, then we are going to go and ask about that person to his relatives, to his friends indirectly. That is how your neighbors will tell you exactly. See, lot of intelligent students. So active way, and again you have passive way. What is active and passive way, guys? What is passive way? Can anyone tell me what is passive way? Guys, what is passive way, guys? This is going to be interacting. Just a moment. Yeah, this is going to be with interaction. This is definitely is going to be without interaction. This is going to be without interaction. Now, whenever I tell something about with interaction, without interaction, in this particular with interaction, you are going to go for neighbors, colleagues, friends, etc. etc. Now, whenever I go for passive way, one of the most important sources, social media. Social media. Under this social media, you got n number of things. So these are the two ways. These are the two different ways. Whenever you go for social media, guys, so you can get private information, public information. So social media is basically definitely going to be a public platform. So this only has the public information. So what some people will do is, if you want to gather really personal information, they also go for the dating applications. If that particular person is on a dating app, so he will basically have shared there his likes, his dislikes, his hobbies. Am I right, guys? So in on Instagram, on Facebook, you will find only few pictures and all. But whenever you go for these dating applications, you will find likes, dislikes, hobbies. You can also tell favorite places, dishes, anything, etc., etc. You can get all the personal information. So social media, I can just consider it as a public information. And dating applications, I can basically consider it as an private information, private info. And this is exactly how it will work with the normal human beings. Private information and public information. Clear, guys? So this is all about the target when it comes to organization, also about the target when it comes to an individual. So exactly this is how exactly how it is going to work. So guys, tomorrow we will basically discuss about the another tools. Uh, can we gather information by mobile number? So guys, if you want to gather information by mobile number or something, you got few of online websites. Let me just show you. Just a moment. We got few online websites. One is PIPL. People.com is one website. So these all basically need some kind of subscription, guys. Nobody knows people like people. The one source for online identity and trust. You can get all the identity here. People.com is one. Spokio is one. Spokio.com. See, search a name, phone number, address, or email ID to confidentially look up information about the people who can know, such as yourself, friends, family, acquaintances, and old classmates, something like that. Now, again, you have another website, beenverified.com. But these are all paid website, guys. None of them are free. Majority of them are paid websites. They give some kind of guys, don't text anything. I just shared the feedback link. Everyone try to fill the form. Don't try to send any message in the chat box. First, try to fill this. So one is being verified and the last one is 411.com. So these are all different websites where you can get a lot of information online about one particular individual. But there is no assurity, guys, that each of them give the exact information. Few of them might find the information, few of them might doesn't find the exact information. So you can't assure that each and every particular website is going to give you the exact information. So here, let me just add the screenshots to your slide. Just a moment. This is definitely going to be one. And again, you have sublister, right? This one. This is one. Sublister is one, and the last one is going to be the result. Yeah, this one with 3 installed at requirements. To start, you can just go here and type this. I'm keeping it all stepwise, guys. Just give me 5 minutes, I'll complete it. You can just directly go here and type this. Clear, guys? So these are all going to be different steps. So you can just follow these steps and you can get the information about a domain name. Information. Info gathering of organization. Sudo space SU. Done, guys. I hope everyone got your doubts resolved. Sir, I checked Telegram. Dear students, please complete daily test 1, test 2 by using the below link. You guys complete the tests assignments on time. Sir, please explain about Nmap. So, Vinay, next module, once we complete the footprinting part, next module is completely about Nmap only. It is the scanning module. So, first module was completely basics. Again, we operating systems and all. Now we have footprinting and reconnaissance. Module 2. After footprinting and reconnaissance, we have scanning. So, in that scanning, I'll definitely tell you all about Nmap, all the types of scans, how you can target, what is how basically you can get to know about firewall is present or not. Everything I will try to give you the information about. So that's it for today, guys. Fill the registration. And also, how can I increase employability score in TapTap? Attendance link, please. So attendance link has already been shared in the group twice, thrice, guys. So how many times you can ask attendance link again and again? Please be active and please try to fill it. I'm sharing it again. I shared it. Please try to fill it. Guys, all session notes will be shared to you. Don't worry. I'll make sure each and every session notes will be shared. I'll personally make sure today evening itself, today by tomorrow morning, you will have all the notes. Don't worry. I don't know how can we increase employability score in TapTap. I am just a trainer and I am here to teach you exactly how things work. That is completely your responsibility, how you take assessments, how regularly you perform, and how regularly it is going to work. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you. We'll meet tomorrow again at 5 p.m. Tomorrow we have class from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. So please be available. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. Good night.